Yipee-Ki-Yay, Mr. Falcon.
Welcome back, Mr. Falconers. We got a special one today. Something that's going to be sullied a little bit by a new movie that at this moment of this recording has not come out yet. I think it's coming out next week. It's the remake / reboot of The Crow. And literally a couple days ago, the first whispers of reviews came out, and the big word that stood out was unwatchable. I am not optimistic. Tom is not optimistic. But we were both huge fans of the original The Crow with Brandon Lee and watched the hell out of it when we were young, when we were teenagers, and we've kind of been watching it most of our lives. It's a special movie for us, but we were a bit too young to see it in theaters when it came out. But for the 30th anniversary of the film's debut, it was out in theaters for a couple days. So Tom and I got to go to the Regal Cinema that we used to go to in high school. And saw a lot of movies there, man. It's been like 20 years since he'd been in that theater. I go because it's close and relatively cheap and kind of deserted, which is sad. We talk about that a little bit too. But it was really special to be able to see this movie in the theaters, looking great, sounding great, before this hollow-looking remake comes out. And, I'll see it so I can talk about it and talk shit about it. But I'm going to live in the past on this one. So here we go. This is our impressions directly after seeing The Crow for the first time in theaters. So we just did something really weird for us. We went to see a movie that I've only ever seen at home, and that I first saw on a really, I think, a pretty shitty VHS tape before I even bought it. We got to go see the original Crow.
Yeah, we did.
The Crow, in the theater. It's the 30th anniversary of its release, which makes me feel depressingly old.
Yeah, it sure does.
Yeah, it makes you really fucking old. Not too many people out on a Wednesday evening in Bumblefuck, New Jersey, if there is a Bumblefuck, New Jersey. But the crowd was neat. It was interesting. There were a couple young goth children.
Yeah, that was quite the group of people.
Yeah, a couple old heads like us.
You know what, though? They were our people.
They were our people. You know how we know they were our people? When the previews got rolling, we were shocked. I didn't know an old movie like that they would run current previews on it. And then they did it. They ran a preview for the fucking remake of The Crow, which is coming out this summer.
Boo.
Now, I don't know if the fact that the remake is coming out had something to do with the original getting into theaters for the 30th anniversary. They do this a lot for anniversary movies, especially from our youth now, trying to get us out into the theaters. The tickets were cheap as shit. I don't know what that was all about.
Yeah, that was dirt cheap.
You know, like $5.22.
Thank you for the ticket, by the way.
Yeah, you got it, man. Yeah, I did that on spec. Tom and I have been watching this movie since we were teenagers. And I just figured he'd want to go, but he has a complicated life. But I could waste $5.50 on the chance that he might be able to make it, and he made it. And we had two other friends too.
It did not go wasted.
It felt like we were teenagers. Like an actual group of us showed up at the movies to see something awesome. And seeing it was awesome. Just seeing it, it looked great.
Yeah, that is a good looking movie. And to your point, the first time I'd seen it, it was a shitty VHS copy. And then like we found it on DVD, and then it was like, oh, Blu-rays are a thing now. Let's get it on Blu-ray. But like to finally see it on a big screen,
It's different.
yeah, I'm like noticing stuff for the first time because the format.
Yeah. And I mean, it's a dark film. The original, it's always been a dark movie, but
Oh yeah, totally.
I never really felt like I couldn't see everything, even on the old VHS, which is, I guess, a testament to the cinematography, which is really good in this movie. It's not just the quality of it. The movie looks really good from beginning to end. And we saw this little snippet of a little 10-minute behind the scenes thing that they ran before the movie.
Yeah, it was like a making of short.
And it was kind of neat because it didn't talk about Brandon Lee's death or anything like that. It didn't really go into any of the specifics. But it just kind of talked about a little bit of the production and the fact that most of the city shots are models.
Yeah.
They're scale models. And you always knew that, you know. I always knew that the city wasn't real, right? And it never bothered me.
No.
And the people in the documentary thing were likening it to a stage play, in that nothing beyond the stage exists, but the backdrop is just enough of a suggestion that your imagination can fill it in.
Yeah.
Right. It gives you Paris behind Les Mis, whatever. I never really thought of it like that, but with that in mind, when the movie started, because you see some miniatures pretty early on, honestly reminded me of Sin City a little bit. The vibe.
Okay. Yeah, okay. The world you're in Sin City, it's all green screen.
Right.
So in a way,
And CG, yeah.
they're the same in that like everything you're seeing in terms of like the backdrop of this whole movie is not real.
Right. The characters are real. The immediate set around them is real, and that's about it.
Right.
And that's okay because The Crow, like Sin City, was so highly stylized that at no point were you to believe that this was happening in our real world.
Yeah.
And that's great. That's great because it makes all the supernatural stuff that much more believable. Like, there's almost no conceit. You can do anything in this movie as long as it's cool.
It makes it a comic book.
Yeah.
Which is what
where
it's
it came
based
from.
on.
Yeah. Absolutely. And like, you need that element if you're going to have a movie with a villain like Top Dollar. You need that element, because how else could you make like a goth prince crime lord?
Yeah, he's really over the top. He wears a blouse.
Like all the time wearing a blouse, and his hair is down to his ass, and that wig didn't look great
He looks
a lot
like
of the time.
He looks like the guy from the Cult.
He does, doesn't he? He does kind of look like the dude from the Cult. Holy shit. And, he's got this rogues gallery of, like, shit bags, but his close people are more like him. Tony Todd and his weird half-sister fucker, or whatever she is.
Oh, that's Bai Ling.
I love how you don't really know their names either. Like,
No.
I don't think they ever say Top Dollar in the movie.
I think
Maybe once?
they do. Like very, very occasionally they drop his name as Top Dollar.
I remember watching this many, many, many times before the internet had things about movies on it, like cast lists and shit. And then I remember looking this up one time being like, his fucking name is Top Dollar? Are you fucking serious? That guy, his name is Top Dollar?
Yeah, man.
So maybe
He's
they
the
kind
money
of played
man.
it down because it didn't fit the image that great. But,
Well,
man, he's, again, what's the actor's name? I always forget. Do you have that?
Top Dollar?
Yeah.
No, I don't know Top Dollar's name.
That guy with
but
the fucking voice.
the pawn shop owner?
No. That's Gideon.
Oh, that is Gideon. Wait, what guy with the voice?
Top Dollar.
Yeah, he does have a,
Isn't that precious?
my father once told me he sounds like an old cowboy dispensing wisdom
Right?
out there on the range.
It's so weird. It's such a weird
His
juxtaposition.
name is Michael Wincott.
Michael Wincott, sure. He's been in all kinds of shit. He was most recently in that Jordan Peele movie. Nope.
Nope.
Nope. That was the one.
I didn't see that.
He getting old. My man's getting old. He was in I don't know,
He was
Alien
in
Resurrection.
Alien Resurrection. That's where I
Yeah.
remember him from.
That's one that was more higher profile, but he's been in a lot of lower budget movies throughout his career and always with that fucking voice. But he is a great character actor, and I'll tell you why. I was paying attention to his dialogue a lot when we watched this tonight, which is one of the great things about being in a theater is that you have to pay attention to a movie.
Yep. No phones.
No phones, no dogs, no kids, no distractions, no lights.
No lights.
Other than having to get up and go take a piss, maybe, you're there and you're watching that movie. And sometimes you notice shit you never saw before in movies that you've seen 100 times, like Tom.
Oh, yeah.
What did you said something to me in the what was it you noticed?
I noticed a couple things, and it's just like these little tiny details that you never got at home because of the resolution. You know, like when I first saw it and I paid attention to it a lot, I saw it on VHS. And by the time I had it on Blu-ray, I'd seen it 1,000 times. And so, like, it was more like background. But when he's in Gideon's shop and he gets shot in the chest and, like, heals it up, and he looks down and I could see he's drooling all over the place.
Oh, when he gives that wicked smile.
He's got that insane grin on his face.
Yeah.
And you could just see the drool falling out of his mouth. I've never noticed that.
Never noticed that?
Nope.
Okay.
Never had a clue that he did that. And then that whole scene, you could see his hair is like soaking wet. He's just dripping the whole time. They must have doused him before every take because
absolutely.
his hair looks awesome when it's wet.
Yeah, I don't know what kind of makeup they used either because it didn't run unless they wanted it to.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't think that's a like you said, you start to gloss over things once you've seen a movie so many times. It's hard to pay attention to frame by frame. And also, I don't think it's so much resolution as size. I mean,
That's
when
true.
it's the size of a half of a building, you know, you're going to see shit whether you want to or not.
Right.
And it's just a case for watching older movies in the theater still while they're still around. But anyway, Top Dollar's dialogue was paying a lot of attention to what he was saying. And in a lesser actor's hands, that role would have been hilarious. That would have been the goofiest, one of the worst bad guys in history if they gave that to a shitty actor who just looked like a villain. Which they do a lot, which they do an awful lot. And they did in the sequels of this film, which shouldn't really be mentioned much.
No.
But he, with that weird delivery, like you said, he talks kind of like this, like a cowboy.
Yeah.
He's
What?
from somewhere else. He ain't from Detroit.
Well, yeah, what made, I don't know if that was a director's choice or if that was the actor making that choice, though, that this guy's not from Detroit. He's from, like, Missouri or something
He always
like that.
Wincott always kind of has a little bit of that in his voice. I think that's just his natural accent. And plus with the gravelly tone, it just sells it somehow. You know, even the dumb lines worked.
Yeah, it you know what it does? I don't know if it's intentional or unintentional, but it fleshes him out.
Yeah.
It at least gives him some sort of background that isn't explicit in what he's saying, but it gives you an idea of like where he's from without him ever explaining it, because it's all there just in the accent, and then just the mannerisms, you know, and the phrase, like he calls him friend. He's like, listen, friend.
He says
daddy.
fella.
He says fella, my daddy, you know.
My daddy, yeah.
He just sounds like some old coot dispensing, you know, timeless wisdom.
Yeah,
Only-
and the juxtaposition of that with the way he looks and that he's smoking eyeballs with his half-sister who he bangs, it just makes for this character that doesn't really have that much screen time, doesn't get that much exposition except a couple lines about his daddy. It makes you feel like he's a real full character.
Yeah,
and
it does.
With a real sinister sense of humor that would not have come across. Like he actually has to say the line, "That had to hurt."
Yep.
Like he has to sell that, and he comes close to not selling it. I'll say
when he says that had to after Brandon Lee gets shot.
Yeah, in the boardroom.
Off the table. Yeah.
Yeah, in the boardroom, and he gives it atypical inflection, like you go, that had to hurt. But something about that voice and that delivery made you forget that it's such a terrible line.
Yeah.
You know?
But you know, on the other hand too, like he makes dumb jokes like that.
Yeah, that's kind of his shtick,
That's his
right?
shtick. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's like, Jesus, you know. He's always just making some dumb crack. Like when Skank is one of the henchmen that Brandon Lee's after, and he's telling his tale of how the Crow took T-Bird and killed him, and he's like, maybe we should videotape this and play it back in slow motion.
I love when he's talking about how Tintin got killed. You know, let's preserve a moment of silence for poor old Tintin, and then just does a
Blows
line.
of coke.
Fucking amazing, dude. You know, great. Like, and he's not the only one. T-Bird.
Oh yeah,
Incredible character actor. He's like the leader of the little band of henchmen that work for Top Dollar who kill Shelley.
It's like the sequel to the Warriors.
Yeah,
he's just
yeah.
like running another weird street gang.
But again, that scene where he's taping him up in the car.
Oh yeah,
that could have come off really cheesy with a lesser actor. Like
he sells it.
All the bad guys were so cartoonish that if the actors didn't play them completely straight and intense, they would have been goofy.
Right.
They would have been goofy. And you saw it in the Crow City of Angels when Iggy Pop tried to act.
God, that
movie's irredeemable.
But like you're right though, the band of bad guys. Although I'll say this, that's kind of an unfair example to put them up against. They are written so over the top and insane, like
in the Crow, in the original.
No, I mean in the sequel.
Oh yeah, yeah.
They are just so unbelievably over the top. Like Tom Jane's in that movie.
That's right. You'd never recognize him if you didn't know it was him.
He's wearing like 8 layers of leather. And he's got this crazy hair, and he plays like a sex freak.
And he has like 2 lines too.
He's like bizarre. Addicted to this like porno and the Peep Show and all that. And it's just like, well, who wrote this villain? It's ridiculous.
The whole bang of Merry Pranksters is terrible in the second one, and in this one, they all are like he even refers to them as band of merry pirates with merry pirate nicknames, right?
Well, yeah, there's Tintin, Skank,
T-Bird,
and Funboy.
Yeah. And we never hear their real names.
And Top Dollar.
Which is great. Never hear their real names. In the car ride home, my wife asked me when the shooting happened, like at what point in the movie.
Oh, yeah.
And they've never actually explicitly stated what scene they were filming when it happened, but we do know that Funboy, the actor who played Funboy, was the one who unfortunately accidentally shot Brandon Lee. So it's either a scene we never saw, it's the scene when the Crow comes into Funboy's apartment when he's shooting up with Darla, which is unlikely because that scene seems pretty finished, and it's unlikely they would have kept a good take from the scene that killed him in the movie. So I'm pretty sure it happened when they were filming the actual murder of Eric and Shelley.
I think that tracks too, because like if you think about it this way, they use that set in 2 different ways. They have the set for when like they're living together, right, and then you see it all fucked up a year later after it's been derelict in like a crime scene, and so it makes sense that that they would film all that stuff after they had it all prim and proper for like the when it's a home,
right?
And then and if you look he first goes back to it after coming out of the ground, that's when you see all those weird cut-ins of where they had to replace him digitally. Right.
So from what I understand, there were only a few pieces that weren't finished when he was killed.
Yeah, they had 99% of it filmed.
Yeah, like it was him rising from the grave and going to the apartment. They didn't have all that filmed. They had some of it, but not all of it. They didn't have, from what I understand, the actual murder wasn't supposed to be only in flashbacks. Like you were supposed to have seen that. Like it was supposed to have been how the film opens.
Right.
I think it sounds terrible to say this, but
It made it a better movie.
It made it a better movie. The choices they were forced into because of Lee dying, it made it a better film.
Well, you know what's crazy? That documentary that they had at the beginning when we just saw it in the theater, the production designer is saying like, yo, it was real low budget and that almost wound up working in its favor, making it a better movie. And the thought that crossed my mind was like, yeah, that's also kind of what killed Brandon Lee.
It's true. If they had hired a better armorer.
Yeah, they were trying to pinch pennies and they made, what did they make their own dud rounds?
Yeah, it was just poor. It's very complicated what actually happened and how he ended up getting shot. But suffice it to say, a bullet ended up stuck in the barrel of a gun, and then they ended up firing a blank through it and essentially created a live round. And the only reason they ever have bullets, like the projectile, on set is because
close-ups.
For close-ups of revolvers, because you can see it in the cylinder, in the front of the cylinder. Like when the camera's facing the gun, you can see there's nothing in it if it's unloaded, or if there's blanks in it, you won't see them. It'll look unloaded.
Right.
So they make dummy rounds that have nothing inside them. It's just a brass tube and a bullet on the end of it.
Right.
Well, something happened when they were filming with a gun that had dummy rounds in it. One of the bullets dislodged from the case, ended up stuck in the barrel of the revolver. Then when they emptied it out, they didn't notice that one of the dummy rounds was missing a bullet first. Then they used the same gun to run blanks for another scene.
Without clearing the barrel.
Now, the right way to have done this is you would have essentially what is a real firearm for those close-ups when you're looking down the barrel and when you're looking down the cylinder with no firing pin, right? You'd have the hammer. Everything would look fine.
But it's essentially useless.
It's essentially useless. It wouldn't do anything. And then you would have an entire separate firearm with a blocked barrel that would fire blanks. Sometimes they're even specially modified barrels because it's semi-automatic. You need the barrel to be plugged for the gun to cycle, because you need the increase of pressure, because a blank doesn't have enough pressure to cycle the firearm like a real round would. So the barrel needs to be blocked. It's only with revolvers that you have this thing. So, like you said, instead of having an expensive armor set up,
they had one gun.
They had one. And Fun Boy's gun makes sense because it's a pretty distinctive nickel-plated, pretty large 44 Magnum revolver. It's a Dirty Harry gun, essentially. And they just didn't. They used a real gun for both when they shouldn't have had a functioning firearm for either, technically.
Right.
That said, with due diligence and correct safety procedures, it could have been done safely with what they had, because that's how they used to do it back in the day.
Right.
And to reiterate, to this date, which is we're in May of 24, only 3 people in the history of cinema have ever been killed by a mishap with firearms on set. And one of them was a guy on a TV show. It's a shame I forget his name and I forget the show. But he was fucking around between takes, and he put a gun, the prop gun, to his head and pulled the trigger, and he fired a blank. And the pressure was enough to fracture his skull, and it killed him later. He died later. The second was Brandon Lee. The third was Alec Baldwin not too long ago with
just happened.
Hutchinson, the producer who accidentally got shot on the movie that never got finished, which just happened. That's in over 100 years of cinema, because they were filming guns. One of the first things they filmed was cowboys shooting guns, robbing a train. Like, it was in the first real movie ever. So, I mean, they do it a lot with CG now. They can do a lot with CG that supposedly looks real. I've still yet to see, well, all right, I guess I was going to say I have yet to see a CG bullet hit that looks good, but I guess I wouldn't know it if it was good, right?
Yeah, that's true.
So I'm sure that there have been some good ones out there, but I remember when Rambo 4 came out, there were no squibs. Squibs are also very dangerous. They've never killed an actor, but they have burned them. They have injured them. They've burned them. They've caused eye damage. They've set their clothes on fire every once in a while. So I get it. Like, I get it. But I hate it. But I get it. Anyway, whatever. So this is something we do have to talk about, though. And I want to ask you a question.
Okay.
Do you, now, looking back at this, knowing all the stories and everything about everything, how much do you think the death of Brandon Lee added to the mystique of this film?
Oh, a ton. It added a ton.
It did, right? Like, if Brandon Lee had survived and, you know, I mean, he acted the shit out of this role.
Oh, he was great.
He wasn't, he was still a very new actor. He had, what, like 3-4 film credits? Couple of them were like kung fu action-y movies.
I can think of two off the top of my head. There was one called Rapid Fire, which is just like an utterly, forgettable action flick. Brandon Lee doing cool karate shit. And then there was Showdown in Little Tokyo.
I've heard of that. I think I saw it once.
Yeah, we got to watch that. It is one of the most insane, over-the-top, like 80s action movies I've ever seen.
Really?
Yeah, it's just, when I say over-the-top, though, I don't mean like in a good way. It's very fucking cheesy.
It was some direct-to-video shit, right?
Yeah, it's crazy. It's
that's how
movie.
careers start, though. You know, like, this would have been his breakout role, assumedly. This would have been what made him a star. And he probably would have taken a lot more roles like this. God help us, he might have done a sequel.
Right, and we wouldn't be treated to imposters.
So, I'll tell you one thing, though, as like a teenage goth kid wannabe, the fact that he did die during this, man, it just made it so much extra. Everything. It was just, I can't explain adequately what this movie meant to me as a kid. Not just because the look of The Crow and how cool I thought all of it was. The music, the film, the look of the whole film itself, the way they dressed Sarah. That
was us.
That was us, man. That is how people the ripped stockings, the light colored laces on her boots. Yeah, she had like what looked like beat up knockoff Doc Martens with fucking white laces that were dirty as shit. Like, man, that was a staple, with socks, 10,000 chains around her neck,
O-rings,
those big ball chains, the bracelets. Man, everything, dude, about her looked so... You didn't see characters dressed like that in Hollywood movies. And the choices that they were able to make, being a Miramax low-budget flick without the Brandon Lee dying part, like the little touches, like when Eric comes out of his grave, he's not wearing shoes, and his suit is slid up the back, because that's how you dress a fucking corpse when they're
right
in a casket, because you're not going to see their feet, and it's kind of hard to dress a dead person without cutting the suit in the back. It's been that way for a very, very long time. Little things like that they tried. And it's also a comic book adaptation when nobody did comic book adaptations. So no one really knew how to do it. You know? You got to call... And I think the fact that it was ground that hadn't been covered yet, and they had the freedom to stylize everything the same way, with the same tone and the same feel, and the fact that the movie takes place over less than 48 hours, all of it contributed to a movie that you cannot replicate. You just can't make that movie again with that same story and do it any better. I don't think, because the story isn't that great. Okay, it's a revenge flick.
Yeah, I mean it's simple. It's a nice, like, what do they call that? Like a boilerplate, but it works and it's used a lot because it's a good, start jumping off point for whatever story you want to tell.
Yeah.
You know, it's a revenge flick.
Except for the fact that the guy on the revenge quest happens to be dead. But it's that singular focus. Like, he is not around for anything else. He's not going to form new relationships. He's not going to better himself. He's not going to realize at the end of the movie that there is something more to life than revenge and vengeance, because that's the only fucking reason he's been brought back to life. The only reason.
Yeah, he's got like one singular purpose.
And something about that crystallized in my young mind. And it's definitely, I think, why I like good revenge movies so much. But I'm not alone in that. It's a popular genre for a reason. It's fun. It's cathartic. But that's what this movie was. The comic it came from was one big catharsis from James O'Barr, who lost his partner. I believe it was to cancer. It was to sickness. They weren't murdered. But
yeah, they lost someone. Though.
Yeah,
he lost someone.
Yeah, and he was angry and he wanted to take it out on somebody, but all he had was cancer or whatever the sickness was.
Right.
So he did it in his comic.
He poured his heart out.
He invented the villains, and he invented a version of himself, and he got it out. And man, the comic is rough, and
it's grody.
It's very low skill level in a way. Like, it is not polished.
But
there's something about it.
It's got that indie feel.
Yeah.
It's like underground.
Yeah, and it's visceral, you know.
I think that adds to like what people liked about it. You could clearly tell that this wasn't like Marvel pumping out
it
something
felt personal.
that they hoped was going to fly off the shelves. This was some guy like pouring out his heart and soul, and it resonated with people.
And it wasn't a character that was supposed to start a comic line or something like that. Like, you never got the idea from that book that he was going to ever do any more with that character. And he never did. He never did.
No, it was a total one-off.
And believe me, he got offers.
I bet he did.
A lot after the movie's success and all the mythos that grew around it and everything. And that's the other thing too. The Hollywood machine has tried to get this magic back many, many times. They did City of Angels fairly soon after. I'd say, what was that? I'm not going to look it up right now, but
it was like 99, 2000, something like that.
I remember it was late enough for us to like waiting for it to come out in video stores, you know, and being fantastically disappointed. Just because it like stylistically they really endeavored to capture that same tone from the original, but they didn't quite get there.
You know, it's funny. I think I mentioned this another time that we talked about it. It came out in 96.
Damn.
That was close. But like,
yeah, 2 years. That's quick.
Here's the difference. The Crow is like goth grunge. And the Crow City of Angels is nu metal.
Wow.
I'm telling you, look at the soundtrack.
I remember Hole was on the soundtrack. That's one of the only things I remember.
You know what? They had a cover of Gold Dust Woman, which I actually kind of like. It's a good cover. But like the aesthetic of the movie, the feel of it, it's grunge versus nu metal.
Yeah, you're right.
It's like the way that I can describe it. You talked about how Sarah's dressed. She's dressed like real fucking just like young alt-rock grunge girl.
Yeah.
Right? And then you look at, City of Angels and like, yeah, it's just got this vibe where everything is just turned up to 11 and people have like fucking crazy tattoos and crazy hair and it's just
wild costumes.
Yeah, it's just these wild caricatures of everything that came out of like it just reminds me of nu metal. You think like Mudvayne and Slipknot and just all these insane grotesque versions of what all the stuff we used to like turned into. And
I never thought of it that way. That's fantastic. Yeah. Yeah, that is exactly, because I own that. I used to own that soundtrack on CD.
Which one?
The City of Angels, both of them. I loved the original.
I had it too.
Wow, I never thought of it that way. That's fucking nuts, man.
The
That's
second
fucking
one
nuts.
had some good songs on it, right?
Yeah, a few. That's why I had it. And
There's a cover of "I'm Your Boogeyman,"
yes,
which
that's very
is
good.
awesome. Which I borrowed for our Michael Myers Halloween deep dive.
Who did that? Who did that cover?
White Zombie.
It was Zombie, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's why I covered it for that episode.
I didn't know that was a cover when I first got that.
That's
record.
an old '70s song.
I know. I found out later, but I didn't know. I didn't know.
You know what other comic book movie they used that in? They used the original in The Watchmen.
Oh yeah, they did, didn't they?
When the comedian jumps down off the thing to like quell the riot.
Yeah.
You just hear that "I'm your boogeyman."
Wow.
It's the same song.
Me on. Yeah.
But then you look at some of the other songs on there. You have like the Deftones, which are kind of
right.
they're kind of like the high
I think
water
they were the
mark,
first track.
the high water mark for new metal.
I wouldn't even call them that, but yeah, Deftones get down, dude. I'm into
Corn's on that record.
Yeah, and it was not a good track either.
No.
I liked me some Corn back in the day.
Yeah, we all did.
Select Corn, Corn,
You
but that
liked-
was not one of them. That was not one of the good Corns.
No, that was a bad Corn. But yeah, that's just the vibe I get from that soundtrack. And not to knock it, it's a good soundtrack. But it strikes a different chord.
It also had a lot more mainstream shit on it at the time. Like Deftones was mainstream. Zombie at that time, by then they were getting they were getting mainstream. Hole was very mainstream.
Yeah, they were.
You had bands like fucking Jesus. The bands on the first of all, they got the Cure to do an original track for the original.
That was
movie.
big. It's a big.
And Burn is a good song. I don't care. Divorced from the movie, it's still a good song. Apparently, they never played it live. I read.
They probably weren't allowed.
I read that. I got to turn in my goth card. I'm going up on his name.
Who?
Lead singer.
Robert Smith.
Thank you. I read in an interview one time that someone asked him about that song and he didn't remember it. Oh. But the band still wrote the song for the movie, so maybe he was just high, I don't know, or in a bad mood. A lot of those fucking bands were really underground at the time. Like STP was like the most and Nine Inch Nails, and I guess
Purple came out. The STP record came out the year that movie came out.
Oh, so that was hot new shit.
Yeah, Big Empty
was hot new shit. Okay.
Big Empty came out that year. 9 Inch Nails broke big that year with.
Was that Downward Spiral?
That was Downward Spiral.
That year?
Ooh. That album was huge.
Oh, wow. Yeah. We forget how much slower things moved back then too. Because I remember us in high school thinking Downward Spiral wasn't that old. And it was already like 5 or 6 years old.
Yeah.
When we started listening to it.
It was just like when we got our hands on it,
Yeah, and when we were finally old enough to be able to figure out a way to buy it. Yeah. But Golgotha Tenement Blues is one of my favorite songs on that.
Oh, what was that? What was that band? Machines of Loving Grace.
Machines of Loving Grace. What a great fucking band name, right? And then you had a weird track from Rage Against the Machine on here too, and they were still they were new. They were huge at that. They were climbing in '94, man.
Yeah, the self-titled had already come out, I think, and then I think their self-titled came out that year, and then '95 was Evil Empire.
Was it 95?
Yeah,
wow,
it was 95.
Okay. I thought I would have said a couple years later, but all right. Rollins Band. Fucking Henry Rollins does not show up on too many soundtracks. Violent Femmes, fucking awesome song.
They were way underground in the 80s. They were 80s alt rock.
Yeah, and that song came back around again too. Helmet, fucking Helmet.
Yeah,
what an underappreciated band too. You had a kind of a weird B-side from Pantera, which they were. 94, they were rocking hard.
Ooh, 94 was the year Far Beyond Driven.
Far Beyond, yeah, holy shit, man.
That album was huge.
Which one came first, Far Beyond Driven or Cowboys from Hell?
Cowboys from Hell was their first.
That was their first? Okay.
Then was Vulgar Display of Power.
Technically, It was their first with Phil,
Right.
And Time,
Yeah.
and
Dude.
did you ever see their first album when they were a glam band?
It's awful.
The cover is just terrifying.
Vulgar Display of Power came out, and that was like heavy as shit. And you're like, man, how are they going to top that? And then Far Beyond Driven came out. And you're like, oh my god, they topped it. That album is so heavy.
It still gets me fired up, dude. I can't help it. They were definitely my favorite heavy band of all time.
They were amazing.
Absolutely. I'll never get tired of them. Like a lot of the heavy shit we listened to when we were young, I can't really get into it anymore.
No, it's silly.
It's goofy. It's not interesting anymore. It doesn't do anything. It doesn't stir my jimmies. But
Doesn't stir my Jimmy.
fucking Pantera and Black Label Society, the early stuff,
Black Label Society.
still gets me fired up, man. I hear that Zakk Wylde squeal or that Dime squeal, and it does something to me. It does something to me, man.
Tickles your Jimmies.
It tickles my jimmies. This is one of my favorite songs out of this movie, and this is one of the bands that performs live in the film. It's My Life with the Thrill Kill Cult and their lovely track After the Flesh.
I am the way to go. I am the wave of the future.
And they get almost the whole song plays because that's the song playing through the boardroom shootout.
Well, yeah, which no one seems to notice.
No, because it's so loud. They're rocking so hard in the club below.
Yeah, My Life with the Thrill Kill Cult can drown out an entire gang war firefight.
And on the same record, you get a track from the Jesus and Mary chain.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
They were pretty big.
Now,
Medicine.
that was the other band that performed live.
Yep.
The one with the lead singer that was strangely attractive my entire life.
Well, I'll never remember her name, but yeah, that was a
Robin Guthrie.
Robin
Her
Guthrie.
name is Robin Guthrie.
Is it really?
Yes, she was not normally the lead singer of that band.
I thought Robin Guthrie was the guitar player for Cocteau Twins.
Was it?
Yeah.
What the fuck is the Cocteau Twins?
You ever heard of Cocteau Twins?
Heard of the Cocteau Twins? What the fuck are the Cocteau Twins? Like
Cocteau Twins. No, they were
like
just
Raymond Cocteau?
They were just like a band from like the late 80s, early 90s.
Maybe I'm remembering that wrong. Maybe I looked it up one time and I just assumed.
And they had like, I don't know, they were like Scottish or something. They had a really good singer, and she was Robin Guthrie was the guitar player for the Cocteau Twins.
Hey man, you're the music doctor, not me.
I'm not a music doctor.
You should know that shit. Anyway, I think I may have listened to the record at least 4 or 5 times as much as I ever watched the movie.
Oh God, yeah, you would just put it on all the time.
It was one of my standards. Like when you first got a Discman, you had a limited number of CDs you could fit in your CD wallet, and I had a hard time taking this one out. I remember this one was always right in there next to Facelift, Alice in Chains.
Facelift.
For some reason, that record is inextricably linked to this movie for me.
Facelift?
Because I got it right around the same time I got the movie and started listening. Like I said, I always had those 2 CDs with me when I got my first Discman, I remember. And I was they have nothing to do with each other.
Right.
But I was really just blown away by Facelift.
You got me into Facelift. You played that record for me.
It's still a great record.
Yeah, we listened to that in your room.
Yeah. I remember what that disc looked like spinning through the little window of my Discman. How many car rides. Everywhere I went, I listened to that record. And there's something kind of about the groove of it that fits this movie. Like you could have put like Love, Hate, Love at the end of this and it would have been perfect. Like it would have fit.
Grunge.
You're right.
The Crow is grunge.
You're absolutely right. That is where
City
Alice in
of Angels
Chains
is new metal.
Alice in Chains was one of the later grunge bands, but they were definitely from the scene.
They were like one of the big 4. You had the big 4.
You don't think of them as grunge so much compared to like the sound of Pearl Jam and Nirvana and the rest and Soundgarden even.
Yeah.
But Soundgarden shows that grunge moved. Like it got more refined.
Well, I always thought of it like grunge was like this nucleus of sound that had different flavors, right? So like Nirvana was punk flavored grunge,
Okay.
and like
Because it's stripped down and
Pearl Jam
screamy and
was like classic rock flavored grunge.
okay.
Soundgarden was like doom flavored grunge, like Black Sabbath, like sludge.
Okay.
And
I would have
then-
thought maybe more like arena rock because of just the soaring.
I don't know, man. Go listen to Bad Motorfinger.
That's
Ooh.
true. That's
Ooh.
true. All I ever think of is Chris Cornell's voice.
Oh yeah,
'Cause it's just
He was
inhuman.
otherworldly. And then Alice in Chains was like metal flavored grunge.
Yeah, man. With another band with incredible vocalist in the front. I
Yep.
mean, him and Chris Cornell. It's a shame that Lane Staley was so fucked up.
Yeah.
It's a shame that heroin fucked that scene up so bad.
Oh my god,
You
it
know?
killed most of them.
The Survivors. It's a. I don't know. It's indicative of the time when we grew up. It really is. Just it fell apart so completely. And I mean, I don't give a shit about Eddie Vedder these days. You know, do you? Like,
Well, yeah, I think that's kind of what makes it interesting, and more than just like something. Well, yeah, I mean, there's that old. Is it better to burn out, or it's better to burn out than to fade away?
Thank
Yeah.
you, Jack Black. I could talk about that all day, but whatever. It was all the times, man. That was what was going on at the time. And this flick that's
Yeah, it's a product of that age.
it really is all the way around. It's a fantasy built from that zeitgeist. Like, and I don't know if it was the filmmakers who were into all the current shit or if they just really had their finger on the pulse of what was cool at the time in the underground. Because that was the thing. You felt like in the 90s there was pop culture, which was the glitzy, because the 90s were very bright and glitzy and bubblegummy and TRL and all that shit. And, you know, the rap wave from old school hip hop morphing into gangster rap, morphing into whatever the fuck it became. But then there was this underground seedy shit.
Yeah.
And metal was part of that. You know, whatever you wanted to call punk that was going on at the time, you know, whatever names. It wasn't original punk, but rock was around. Seedy clubs with the fucking skinheads and shit. Like all that's 9 Inch Nails and the dark electronica
the
wave.
industrial.
Yeah, industrial. Duh. Yeah, the whole industrial scene was terrifying to white America.
was.
Scared the shit out of more than Eminem ever could. And then on top of it, you had Manson and all that
Yep.
big performance stuff and Zombie, you know.
Yeah, White Zombie.
And then Rob Zombie when he went solo. And it was like there were two pop cultures existing at the same time. And like there were traitors. There were traitors that started like on the underground and then either got too popular or tweaked their image so that they could be more widely accepted.
like Green Day.
Yeah, I would say Green Day. I mean, man, when they were an emo band when they started. They were a straight up emo band.
Oh,
dude.
really? You think so?
Smoothed Out Slappy Hours, like the two records they put out before Dookie. The first one,
Kerplunk.
very emo. Smoothed Out Slappy Hour was very, very emo. Kerplunk was a little less. They were starting to find their sound. They got their drummer. They got Trey Cool on
Trey
board.
Cool.
I know, right? But like they were still a little closer to their roots. Like they did there's a track on that record that they did with Operation Ivy. For fuck's sake.
Hop
You know?
Ivy.
Like they were still plugged into that, and then Dookie just blew up
Dookie
so
was world
hard.
conquering.
That was my first CD. What's the first CD you bought? Do you remember?
Oh man, the first CD I bought.
Like that was yours?
I bought Facelift after hearing it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if it was the first one, but like I remember thinking like I gotta go buy this. I don't remember. I'd have to go back to think of like a handful of them. I had AC/DC. I had Back in Black.
No shit. Okay.
Yeah,
That's respectable, man.
I don't know. I just at the time I liked it. I kind of can't.
Sure.
I haven't listened to that album in years. I don't know if I would enjoy it now, but at the time I was into it because I was learning guitar.
And you hadn't heard it a million times yet.
I bought Pantera. I bought Vulgar Display of Power.
So when did you start buying CDs? Like, when did CDs come into the house? Were you a little later?
I mean, my dad had a bunch, but like I got a job when I was like 14, and that's when like I had money. So when
Was that at Wheatley's?
Yeah.
Wow, you started working there that young?
Yeah, I was
That's fucking illegal.
14.
That is illegal.
Yeah.
That's great. You poor son of a bitch. You've been working so fucking long.
Yeah. Oh man. When you put it that way, yes, I have.
At least I waited till I was 16. Shit.
I'm tired, man. No, like, but yeah, that's kind of when I started like buying CDs en masse.
You didn't get one like for Christmas or something, or?
You know what? Yeah, I must have because I didn't start buying them when I was 14. I had some of my own.
Yeah.
Before that.
So you don't remember, is what you're saying?
Essentially, yes.
Okay. We got my dad surprised us at Christmas one year and bought a Sony boombox, like a bigger boombox, one of those ones that, like, if you were going to use batteries with it, it needed like 8D batteries.
Oh, yeah, you had to load that thing up.
Yeah, and it was one of the cooler ones where the speakers, like, detached, and you could, like, I don't know why, but you could. And it had a CD player in it on the top with the pop-up. And it was our first CD player in the house ever. And it had a double tape deck. So you could record your tapes, you could copy them, you could make mixtapes from CDs or tapes. And then we started getting some CDs. Because, I mean, my dad didn't know what I would want. So he didn't buy me CDs to go with it. So then we went shopping, and my ass bought Dookie, this was before parental advisory stickers. It was before Tipper. I bought Dookie and Thriller.
Dookie and Thriller.
Could not get a wider split of weirdness, but Dookie and Thriller. And you're right. I had maybe got a very small handful of CDs till I started working and could buy my own.
Yeah, I'm starting to conflate like what I had initially that I bought with like what little money I got in like birthday cards and shit, and then when I had a like income, and I was at the Sam Goody once a week buying whatever I can get my hands on.
Yeah, because CDs were like a full album. They were, and if it was newish, they were like $17.
Yeah,
back then, sometimes 15. You could find deals.
Yeah, you could find some older stuff.
This is a tangent, but I want to talk about it.
Do it.
Do you remember The Wall?
What, Pink Floyd?
No, the store.
Oh, The Wall. Yeah. I remember The Wall. Yeah, it was like a music store.
So for you youngins, The Wall was a media store. They had some movies, mostly music, in malls, right? And they had this thing called the Wall Guarantee. When you would buy a CD from The Wall, they would put a sticker on the jewel case. And this guarantee meant that if you ever scratched or fucked up the disc in a way that it couldn't be played, you could come back to the store, show them, I bought this here, here's the sticker. They would get a new disc, just the disc, and they would put it in your jewel case, and they would replace your CD.
What'd you do?
Well, I mean, it was great because, like, you didn't have to worry so much about scratching up.
You exploited this in some way, didn't you?
Absolutely. We all exploited this. So if you had a CD that you scratched up and couldn't play anymore that you loved, and you couldn't afford to buy it again because nothing broke your ass more than spending money on a CD you already bought. What you did was you took the jewel case and you took it apart and put everything from the other CD into the jewel case.
Yeah, you could pop them open.
Because you could pop the bottom, the part that the CD clipped into, you could pop that out and then replace that little card.
Yeah, it was just paper.
It was just the back of the album art, and yeah, it was just a piece of paper. Replace that. Shit. Put the booklet in, put the scratch disc in, take it to the store, you get a new disc. One time.
Oh boy.
In high school, Me and this guy Tony, you knew him. I'm not going to say his last name, but he used to skateboard around the hallways.
I know. I remember
Yeah,
Tony.
Tony S. Tony S. He was a funny kid. We were hanging around for something after school, and he found a backpack with, like, I don't know, 20 CDs in it, in their jewel cases. All kinds of weird shit. Just all kinds of random stuff. We ended up splitting it, I think.
You just found a bag of CDs.
Just a bag of CDs. Probably somebody was going over somebody's house after school. They brought a bunch of CDs and I guess fucking forgot it. And I remember, the only one I remember that I got was Antichrist Superstar. Because I didn't have it because my parents wouldn't let me buy it. And I got it. And then I went to go play it. And it would not play. And then I looked at it and it looked like someone took a fucking razor and just like zigzagged all over the bottom of it. I'm like, what the fuck? I said, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to try it. And I put all the pieces in a wall jewel case.
Sticker jewel case.
Took it in. Sure enough, got another disc. And I think I still have that in my old.
You have your stolen copy
of Antichrist Superstar. And
well,
listen to that to death too. God. Anyway.
That's pretty ingenious.
Yeah.
I had bought stuff from the wall, and I had wall jewel cases, you know, and so, yeah, who knew? I never even thought that would be like an exploit.
Then they got rid of it.
Well, I wonder why. They didn't get rid of it all the way. They kept it as like their guarantee, but then like you had to create an account with them. This sounds stupid to have to explain this, because today you have to create a fucking account with everything and everything. But back then you didn't. Like the sticker was enough. The sticker was your proof. This is how much they trusted people. But after that you had to create a wall account, and then they knew everything you bought. And if you came back with, they're like, you didn't buy this here, motherfucker. The 17-year-old would come down on you with the fury of a drill sergeant. Yeah.
Bullshit. They would probably still give you the fucking
part-time wall worker.
Well, the wall ain't around no more.
You need me on that wall.
All the walls turned into FYEs at some point, and now most of those are gone too. So.
Well, yeah, man. Physical media is dying.
It's a shame. I think the film industry really fucked itself by abandoning physical media. Now, you can argue that the public abandoned it, so then the studios abandoned it. But the studios always controlled where and how their movies were released, right? The distribution companies, whatever, the system. So they just saw dollar signs and lust when streaming became a thing, and they didn't think far enough ahead. And now they're in a place where they can't make any fucking money off streaming. And before that, most of the money they made off movies came from home video sales. For a long time, they weren't making money in theaters. That is not a new thing.
Well, yeah, because you owe a certain percentage of that to the theater. Right,
and even then, theaters still had to make most of their money from concessions, because you just can't charge what would needed to be charged to make a huge profit on people buying movie tickets. You just can't. It's a volume game, and then most of the cost for the marketing of those movies was recouped by home video sales, which was all cash, because it cost what, like 3-4 cents in materials to press a DVD.
That's it.
It was almost.
I don't know what it cost.
They used to say CDs cost a nickel in materials.
That's crazy.
Like, it's just plastic. It's just plastic in a process.
Yeah, when you put it that way.
And back then, DVDs were fairly simple. Blu-rays are a little more complicated, but it's not that much more complicated. Fuck, you can burn a Blu-ray at home. Like, it's not that complicated. How much were blank CDs and DVRs?
Oh, I don't remember, but you would buy them by
by the spindle,
50 at a time.
Yeah, by the spindle. So imagine that on a mass production scale. The margins were huge. The margins were huge, and they absolutely controlled how many they put out, how many they pressed, special editions, director's cuts, reissues, and then every time a new format came along, it was a whole new opportunity to sell the movie again.
Yeah, and then like this latest format is now digital.
The only thing that they
is
still have going for them,
the easiest one to steal.
if you like, I have a couple friends, and Vinny is one of these friends who's, what the fuck would you call it? They used to call them stereophiles, people who were super into high quality audio equipment.
Oh, audiophiles.
Audiophile, stereo, like for films. So it's like the same thing.
Oh, cinephile.
I guess. These psychos who are into fucking arguing about the transfers of 4Ks endlessly on the internet. I love these nerds. They're my favorite people.
Oh, not just like whether or not it's a good movie, just like what's the superior format to watch.
Yeah, the actual format.
Yeah, I get it. I got you.
So if you listen to what they say and they break it down, you very rarely, if ever, actually see something in true 4K that's streaming. Like, no matter what your equipment is, most likely in America, you are not seeing 4K. The data stream, there's not enough data.
Right.
So the only thing left that's exclusive to physical media are 4K Blu-ray discs. And eventually, it's something they say
they're going to figure that out.
Well, they say there's going to be 5K and that's the limit, from what I understand. The 5K area is as far as the human eye can go.
Well, yeah, because like I see, like you can buy an 8K TV.
Yeah, I think that's all nonsense at this point.
But I did have that thought. I'm like, how good could the resolution possibly be before it just matches like what you're seeing in real life? Like, there's got to be an upper limit.
Yeah, and also artistically, what does that do to footage? Like sports, things that are supposed to look real, I'm sure they'll look better than they used to, but I don't know about you. I've never been to a game in real life where I've seen that shit that well, even on the Jumbotron. So it's a unique experience to the home viewing. And movies, I've seen movies with the Auto Motion Plus turned on and in shot and digital, and they don't do anything, man. They're dead. They're lifeless. They're boring. They
just look wrong.
Frame rate is important.
Yeah.
It's not supposed to look like real life, man. It's supposed to be a different world.
It isn't real life.
Yeah. Like if The Crow had been trying to be realistic, it would have been horrible. I want that fake Detroit. Like I want that fantasy city in that story. I don't want to see The Crow in... Well, you know what? Let's just directly attack it. I don't want to see The Crow in Prague, which is where...
Is that where it takes place?
Well, that's where they filmed the whole fucking thing. So I'm going to assume Prague is a pretty distinctive-looking city, which means it's going to have underworld vibes, which, I mean, come on, man. There's nothing about the trailer for the new one that I am interested in. Like, every single thing I see about it indicates that every choice they made about it was wrong.
You know what's funny?
What?
We said earlier that, like, and I think you agreed, that, like, The Crow, the OG, the one we like, is grunge, right?
Yep.
So if we're going to use that logic,
Okay.
and try to assign, a vibe
In your theory for City of Angels, that holds, and that's the only sequel worth mentioning.
So the new one that's coming out, the reboot, The Crow, just from what I can gather and what the guy looks like and what I'm hearing on the trailer, is what, like SoundCloud rap
mixed with Eurovision.
Yeah, it's like what are they going for? What's the tone? What's like the touchstone, the cultural touchstone? Because that's one thing that I think these movies, at least the original, I think that was one of its big strengths, is that it had a lot of cultural touchstones and it had an audience that were like into that scene, and that's why people loved it. So
and the story fit all of those
scene?
touchstones and all of that in that scene, because that scene was pretty dark.
Yeah.
There is no equivalent to that today. Like I ask my wife this question all the time because she's way more into music than I am. I'm like, what bands what musical acts, because you didn't even say bands anymore, what popular musical acts scare parents today? Like, what is there that parents don't want their kids listening to? And I cannot fucking come up with it. Other than like parents who are hyper religious, just average run of the mill folk. The way that they were terrified of Marilyn Manson and the way they were terrified of Eminem after that.
Right, yeah, Eminem, and even
fear people that they had.
Even before that, you had people that were like go back to like Kiss,
the Satanic Panic era. Yeah, absolutely.
And even in the rap game, you had like Tupac and Snoop Dogg and
parents were terrified of gangster rap. Absolutely, absolutely. What's
Wu-Tang
that today?
Clan.
What's that allegory? Is there one?
No.
I don't think there is.
Well, because I think because
parents are all going to Taylor Swift concerts with their kids, and it's fucking weird.
But also at the same time, you look at like the media and the medium and the way that you get it. It's very decentralized. Yeah. In terms of, you used to have to like get signed to a label, and then they put out your record and they promote the shit out of it because they wanted to sell it. Yeah. So now like you have this incredibly diffuse group of artists that don't have that same promotion, and they get big on like TikTok and streaming and SoundCloud, and like they have like these pockets of fans and they go viral and stuff like that. So the way it's distributed is totally different, and so you don't have the same big world-conquering music acts anymore. Unless the scary shit doesn't conquer the world the way it used to. It's all like bubblegum, because like you'll find the scary shit, but you'll be one of like a small group of people that's into it, and it's because you had to like find it on the internet.
And also the scary shit skews so hard toward its niche that it's not really palatable for people outside that niche. Like, this is an old reference, but it's like, if you're not into Cradle of Filth, you can't just casually listen to a Cradle of Filth record and be like, I get it. You can't. You either dig that shit or you really, really don't. Yeah. And I wonder if that's part of it too. And also, the barrier to entry for the consumer, like you said, has completely changed in that, like I just said, I wasn't allowed to buy Antichrist Superstar.
Right.
Had to figure out a way to get it anyway. No parent knows what their kid is listening to on Spotify. Yeah. Unless they just blocks set up or whatever. I don't even know. Can you do that? Can you set up like child safe Spotify? I don't even know.
You can. But like child safe Spotify is, I looked at it because I have young kids, and it's like I can't access
baby shit.
It's baby music. I tried to put on like, something really innocent, like classic rock, and it's just not there.
Yeah, like you couldn't have a 12-year-old who's getting into music with that kind of an account. No. Okay. So then that's my thing. Like, kids are able to listen to whatever they want in secret. No one knows.
Yeah, because you're also not blasting it on your stereo anymore, which is what we used to do. Yeah. Everyone's got earbuds.
Well, we were pretty firmly in the headphone generation, man. Like,
yeah, we were, but the headphones sucked.
All right, you're right. We were in a weird nebulous place in between. I think the generation before us, Gen X, with the Walkman, were way more headphone people than we were because we primarily listened to music on CD. And the early Walkmen, you could not walk around. Yeah, the early Discmen, you could not walk around with those motherfuckers.
No.
They skipped like crazy. They had to be as big as a CD and then some. Mm-hmm. So they were pretty big. They weren't like a Walkman. Like some of those Walkmen were about the size of a cassette tape. They were easy to walk around with. And part of the thing was like clipping it to your belt.
Yeah, I had one. I loved it.
Yeah, I loved it too. But you weren't going to trade the ability to skip songs for going back to a tape.
That's true.
So I think we were that weird period where we were less headphoney because Discmen never really got carryable. Like some people would strap them to their fucking arm when they ran, and it was ridiculous. Like it didn't work.
You couldn't strap a CD player and run.
No. And then it all changed when the iPod came out.
Oh yeah, the iPod
and
changed everything.
earbuds, and that was it. Now we're here. But yeah, that's funny. That's right. We did listen to it fucking loud, man.
I work in a well, yeah, because that's what sounded better. You had like
dude.
decent speakers, and you know what I would do sometimes. I had the little auxiliary cable. I would hook it up to my guitar amp, and then I could.
That worked?
Yeah, it worked. And I could
man.
blow the roof off the house if I wanted to.
I don't ever remember you doing. Well, your parents are almost always home when we hung out.
Yeah, I wasn't allowed to do it. I tried it a few times, and then it was like, no, it's too loud. But now, like, the headphones are so good, and like I work in a very crowded building. You know where I work, at a grocery store, and there's this constant fight to get people to take their earbuds out on the job. Because you could just pop one in and listen to whatever, and it's like a big no. But like that's where we're at now. Nobody listens to music on the go.
They
have the earbuds in.
Go try to buy good speakers on Amazon or something.
Oh yeah,
They're like unfindable.
yeah.
It's all Bluetooth speakers that are the size of your fucking forearm or your hand. It's all, even the few vestiges of computer speakers that are left. And then you take this giant leap to like $8,000 speakers.
Oh yeah, it's insane.
For the kind of people who like own tube amps and shit, who are insane about it.
Audiophiles.
Every adult person had a set of decent speakers with a home stereo when we were young, right? When I was a kid, I had an Iowa. I got an Iowa stereo.
Oh yeah,
with a CD changer in it. It was my first and only stereo. That was my room stereo. Those fucking speakers could shake the whole house if I turned them up.
yeah, they were good.
And that was not an expensive system. We were really lucky that when we were coming up, it was the era of really solid speakers for not that much money. And then it all just fucking went away, man. It all went away. I think I blame Bose. Blame Bose for that stupid stereo they made that the iPod docked
radio?
into it. Yeah. Yeah. It got everybody off of like really decent speakers into that compact horse shit that never actually sounded that good. And nobody knows what a fucking subwoofer is anymore except these assholes who drive by my house with one in their fucking car. Jesus Christ almighty. All right, so I sound like a bitchy old man enough yet?
Yeah, next thing you know, you're going to be standing on your front porch telling people to get off your lawn.
Well, yeah. Yeah, with a shotgun.
With your M1 Grand.
I don't have an M1.
Get off my lawn.
I am not Clint Eastwood from Gran Torino. I'm not. We have to look that up, by the way.
What?
We got to see what kind of car T-Bird drove.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to be disappointed if it wasn't a Thunderbird.
That thing was gnarly. It doesn't look like a Thunderbird.
It didn't look like one, but it was modded a lot. Did you notice? You know what's something I noticed in this, seeing it in the theater that I never noticed before, was that T-Bird's car is smoothed out. It's tricked out so that there's no door handles.
Yeah, he's got to lean down and open it from the bottom.
Yeah, the door handle's been moved. The latch has been moved to the bottom so that it keeps the lines clean. I never noticed that somehow watching it at home. I don't know.
It says it's probably a Ford Thunderbird.
I mean, it would make sense.
I mean, his name's T-Bird.
They made the Thunderbird for a long time. It had a lot of different body types, from what I understand. So, all right, it was a Thunderbird. I should have fucking known, man. Should have fucking figured that. It had ground effects, man.
That car he's got is gnarly.
It's fucking beautiful. It's the only cool car in the movie.
Well,
There's not a lot of cars in the movie.
Goddamn foreign cars.
Goddamn foreign cars. Skank. Fucking wonderful comic relief, man. He was fantastic.
Yeah, Skank is... I'm not Skank. That's Skank right there. Skank's dead.
So, going back to the remake and this theory.
Oh, boy.
So, yeah, I don't know what the cultural touchstones are supposed to be, which is why I think it looks the way it looks in this trailer. It's just a hodgepodge of shit. Like, there's one scene that looks like Squid Game. It's, he's covered, I don't know why they decided to cover him in face tattoos to make him look like the Jared Leto Joker that everyone fucking hates.
Well, He looks like Post Malone. And people like Post Malone.
Yeah, that's true. That's fucking.
I think
like
that's
you
what
said,
they're going for.
SoundCloud rapper.
Yeah, man, that's what he's going for.
Yeah, yeah. Aesthetics aside, because I can be bigger than that. Aesthetics aside, awful fucking auto-tuned music aside, whatever the fuck that weird Black Sabbath thing is that they play at the beginning aside, the thing that concerns me is the one line you hear, because apparently they couldn't manage to do what the original did by implying what all the rules of the game are without actually stating it in giant exposition dumps.
Yeah.
And it seems like there's a whole character that in this new one whose entire job is to just dump exposition and talk about rules. And whoever this fucking guy is, he has a line saying something like,
"You have been given the power of a god."
That, first off, real stupid. And then he says, "You're running out of time to save her."
Yeah, I noticed that.
That bothers me.
Yeah. That means that there's a shot at a happy ending.
And right off the bat, that is absolutely not what this story is about. It's about hopeless vengeance. It's about, there's no redemption. There's no redemption. That's the point. It's about finality. It's about the futility of revenge or vengeance.
At the end of the original, like all he wants to do is just like lay down and die and go back in the ground.
Crawl back in his grave.
Yeah, I'm done now. I've finished my thing. I'm done. You know, he knows he can't save her.
And he doesn't feel better after killing these men. Like, he doesn't start, like, there's no relish or glee in it. He's not healed by each death or something. Like, he's not working toward any end. Like, he can't be killed. He's an unstoppable force. He's basically, he's a weapon, you know, set on a course that can't change. Like, he says they're all dead. They just don't know it yet. That's because what could stop him? There's nothing that can stop him. And this is the only reason he's been brought back to life, is to do this. And if you get rid of that, it's just some other stupid, supernatural, comic booky fucking story with face paint that also doesn't look that great in the new one.
It doesn't look good.
Like, why? Then here's my question. Why remake it? His name isn't even Eric Draven.
What's his name?
I don't know, but it's not fucking Eric Draven.
How do you know?
Because I looked it up and when I was first fuming about this goddamn thing.
Oh boy. Well, I mean, there's this too though. We talked about the original and how it has like a really distinct tone, right? It has this real monochromatic look. And really, like, you only see a few colors in that. You see black and white, you see like red, orange, fire, and you see blood.
True.
And every now and then you see like some sort of warm tone in a flashback.
You're right. You're right.
That being said, that movie's dark. Like, not just the subject matter, but like the look of it. Then you look at this other one and like, yeah, you have no idea what it's going for. The whole thing is so brightly, he's walking through like a brightly lit mansion.
It could be John Wick. It could be a John Wick movie.
Yeah, it looks like a John Wick knockoff.
Skarsgård is being credited as Eric now.
Yeah, he's Eric Draven.
It doesn't say Draven. It says Shelley Webster, which is her name from the original, but it doesn't say Draven. I don't know why. So why remake it? Why not make a sequel?
Well, here's this. Here's this. This point. You said that like you wondered at the beginning if we got to see this movie on the 30th anniversary because of the remake. I think it's the opposite. I think we have a remake because it's the 30th anniversary. I think one follows the other. You know, 30th anniversary of Crow came out. They've been talking about it for years, and I think we finally got it. And it's probably got rushed to coincide with the 30th anniversary of the original. That's my take. That's what I think. Tell me I'm wrong.
I would question the logic of it after watching the new movie with trying to watch it with new eyes and current eyes. I can't imagine that they would have thought that fans of the original would be in any way interested in what this remake is looking like. I don't see how they would even think that young people would watch the original and like it or get it. Maybe the tragic love story with this new layer of pop culture laid on top of it will resonate with young people. But then
you mean that modern audience we keep hearing about?
Yeah, that we keep hearing about, which just seems to be people our age who just keep buying movies and like I don't know. I cannot. I would love to eat my words, and I am going to watch this fucking remake at some point, and I really, really would love for me to be wrong, but I truly can't see how I could be from what we've seen, and it hasn't been that much, and that's fucked up.
There's one line I saw in the trailer, and it just reminded me of like some really bad bit of dialogue from one of the Star Wars prequels. This is really stupid and specific, but there's this one part, like I forget which Star Wars movie it is, but like Anakin's growing up. It might be Revenge of the Sith, episode 3, and he looks at Padme and she's smiling. He's like, "You look so happy," and she's like, "That's because I'm just so in love with you." And he goes, "No, I'm so in love with you." And I'm like, fuck, who wrote this? And then like I'm watching this trailer, and then like Eric Draven says, "Oh, I feel like you're my person." And then she goes, "I feel like you're my person." And I was like,
fucking Christ.
What the fuck? Who wrote this?
A dog, apparently. Wow, that's bad.
Yeah,
That's
remember
bad.
They're like, it's when they're showing like the setup.
Yeah,
in the
I remember
beginning.
it now.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they're like gazing into each other's eyes. And he
I think
goes,
I might have
feel
been-
like you're my person.
I think I was gazing at the awfulness of that pumpkin pie haircut that he has. You know what that reminds me of? That reminds me of that fucking line from the Thomas Jane Punisher. We're blessed.
Oh my god!
We are blessed. And then everybody fucking dies.
Right before you realize that, she just sealed her doom.
That movie is so bad. Warzone
what,
was
though?
worse, though.
You know what? Like that. Yes, that movie's bad. Do I hate it? No, I don't hate it. I don't hate that movie.
I don't hate it until that Russian guy shows up. Then I really start hating it.
Yeah.
I hate his neighbors. I kind of hate that movie.
Yeah, his neighbors are bullshit.
I hate
Like,
John Travolta. No, yeah, I hate that movie.
You know what my favorite part of that movie is? Like,
I think so.
What? What's my favorite part?
That fucking line from
Which-
the head henchman. Because I don't want the stain of your death on my conscience.
Oh no!
Isn't that-
Yeah, he's like, I'm not gonna kill you.
Yeah.
and it's not because I like you, but it's because
I don't want the karma.
You're a miserable
Yeah,
piece of shit, and I don't want the karma of your death on my soul.
That's right. That's right. It's a great line. I remember you liking that line.
No, but my favorite part, that's a great line. My favorite part is like you know how he goes through all those elaborate ruses to try to turn John Travolta against everyone he loves.
Yes.
He makes him think that his wife's cheating on him with his number one henchman.
Yes.
And he kills them both,
In a fit of jealous rage, and it turns out
He turns out that the other guy's gay.
Right,
and his
right.
wife is innocent and all this. So he walks up on a badly beaten and downtrodden John Travolta, and he throws the earring, which was his proof.
right.
He throws the earring down. He goes, "Made you kill your wife?" And he throws the photos down. He goes, "Made you kill your best friend?"
That's right. That's right. He does.
He says it's so matter of fact.
His
He's just-
Punisher voice
he
is pretty
may as well
funny
have
in
said,
that.
"Made you look,
Made you look. Made you kill your wife.
gotcha,
Made you kill your best friend.
made you kill your wife." It's
Made you
just
kill your son.
It's so goofy. It's so.
Did you ever
goofy.
see the Ray Stevenson one? Warzone? Punisher
I
Warzone?
watched. Yeah, I did.
Super bad. Super bad.
And like, I don't remember much. I just remember there was like Jigsaw. He became Jigsaw.
Yeah.
And then his brother, he had that crazy brother, that
Yeah.
guy from the Salton Sea.
Yeah, the child toucher.
And then like he sees his brother as Jigsaw for the first time. And he, instead of being like horrified, he goes, "Oh my God, Johnny, you look fantastic."
Yeah. The fucking accents were so bad. That guy who played his brother, he also was in
That's Dominic West, I think, isn't it?
yeah, he's Jigsaw. Yeah. He's normally a fantastic actor.
Yeah, he's great.
He was terrible in that. His brother was in The Green Mile.
Yeah, he was.
Going further back for other super nerds of our age, he was in the X-Files in a very important role. He was Eugene Toombs in the first season episode Stretch.
He was the stretchy guy that built the fucking cocoon.
The liver bile cocoon. Yeah, out
God,
of
that
newspaper.
was him.
Eugene Toombs. He was in 2 episodes, one of the few bad guys, one of the few Monster of the Week characters who had a sequel, and he got killed in the second one.
Yeah, he got like munched up by an escalator.
That's right. That's right. Man, that was one of the first. I think that was the first X-Files episode I ever saw, and I was fucking hooked.
It's horrible, horrifying.
I
It was
loved
great.
Eugene Toombs. He was so. It's a shame the actor's a short-eyed, but he was also fantastic as the scumbag in Green Mile. Like, you're never happier to see someone die. Like,
Yeah.
that character death is so satisfying.
Who gets him? I forget who kills him.
He gets shot by the actor we both love, who I always forget his name, Sam.
No. You got it backwards.
He shoots. He doesn't die. He doesn't die. You're
Percy.
right. Percy doesn't die in the Green Mile.
He
He gets
shoots
sent
Sam
to the
Rockwell.
He gets sent to the loony bin where he wanted to get a job.
Oh, that's right.
He kept trying to get a job in an asylum so he could go abuse crazy people, and he shoots
Sam Rockwell.
Sam Rockwell's
Who really-
Billy the Kid character.
who was really the one that killed the girls that Michael Clark Duncan was accused of killing.
Right, which you find out from the vision thing.
Yeah.
And right, he goes into the trance
He pees himself.
and shoots him through the bars.
He pees his pants, remember?
What are you looking at? You want to suck my dick?
Oh, yeah, that's right.
He was so good in that, dude. Everyone was so good in that movie. Oh, what a fucking great. I know that movie's been coming under fire a lot lately for the whole magical Negro depiction. I know people have been a little pissed off at it for the story, but you know what? Go fuck yourself. That's a great movie. And Michael Clark Duncan, man, was first thing anyone ever saw him in, and he was in a lot of
blew
good
up
shit
after
after
that.
that.
He was great.
He was a great actor. It's a shame he died so young. But if you watch that movie and you don't like it, I don't know, man. You got a little soul missing.
You're dead inside.
Yeah, if Tom Hanks finally being able to pee in peace after having his urinary tract infection cured, if that doesn't touch your heartstrings, I don't know. I don't know what will, man. I don't know what will.
Oh, boy.
30 years, man. 30 years. So much. This movie is evidence of anything. A lot of things have changed in 30 years. At the same time, I would submit that because of all the shit we mentioned, how stylized the film is, how good it still looks, the cinematography, the color palettes, etc., I would submit that this film, after 30 years, is not dated. I say it holds up.
Yeah, I think it does hold up. Sometimes, like, just through no fault of its own, a movie can be dated just by, like, the look of stuff and the technology. But like, they really don't. You really don't see anything. You see one guy pick up a weird desk phone, you know.
Yeah.
But other than that, it's like the cars look old.
Yeah, that's about it. Like, but
Everything
again,
else, like, could be made, you know, yesterday.
yeah, but again, in this highly stylized world, like in Sin City, all the cars are gold.
Yeah.
You know, they're all classic
that makes
cars
sense.
in that film, right?
Yeah.
So it's kind of like a movie out of time, in a way. And And I really like that about it. And I think it's yet another hurdle the remake will not clear.
Yeah,
'Cause
well,
it-
like what
that
will
movie-
that remake look like in 20 years?
It already looks dated to me because I know all that style of everything isn't. And you know what the worst part about that fucking trailer is? We talked about how great, we talked for a while already about how great all the villains were in the original. The only villain I saw that was identifiable in this was the fucking guy from 30 Days of Night.
Oh, Danny Houston.
Danny Houston, who has to be near 60.
Yeah.
And he just looked like Danny Houston looks in every other fucking movie he's ever been in. Just like a white dude with short hair.
And jowls.
Who could be a politician or a CEO or, I guess, a vampire, maybe. You hate that movie, right?
I do hate that movie. Oh, they do their dumb vampire talk, and it just comes like, duck.
Sound like the motherfuckers from Mars Attacks and shit. There were parts that I liked, but I think I liked the makeup. I thought was pretty cool in that. That was one of the earlier depictions of like feral vampires.
Oh, well, like gore and fangs.
Yeah, grotesque. The Anne Ricey vampires had been in vogue for quite a while at that point, and yeah, whatever. Take it or leave it. It gets real stupid in the middle. Like I like the opening, and then when they kill like the whole town, and then after that, I'm kind of over it.
Why do they just wander out of the desert wearing like Armani suits? He's wearing like a 2-button suit.
Well, they weren't in the desert, right?
Not the desert, the
snow,
the tundra. That's what I meant.
The tundra.
They're in Alaska.
Yeah, they're in Alaska.
Yeah, but even a vampire surely would like. I don't know. He's wearing like wingtips.
They got their suits in the night country.
In the country. Yeah. Well, good old Randall Cole spirit danced around and pointed the way to the nearest clothing store.
There is a hold on. I got to do a look up real quick. Because there's one part of that movie and a role that I really do like.
Who's the main cop guy? Is that Josh Hartnett?
Yeah, Josh Hartnett, and the lead actress is Melissa George, who was in The Salton Sea. She was Val Kilmer's wife, who dies in The Salton Sea.
Melissa George?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I don't think that's true.
Fine, fight me.
I'll fight you. I don't think that's true. That actress's name in The Salton Sea is Chandra West.
Nope, that's the chick he befriends in the apartment. The one with the crazy ex and ends up getting him shot. Melissa George is his wife who gets killed in the flashback.
Impossible.
Not impossible. It's the truth.
Fucking impossible.
$2.
$2. I want my $2. Maybe it's her.
Could it be?
What?
It is her. Look it up.
All right, whatever. I'll look it up later.
Concede.
No,
No?
I'll concede later.
Fuck you. Fuck you and your concession.
Yeah.
Ben Foster
Ben Foster
is the good part of 30 Days of Night.
Is he? Who's he? Is he a vampire?
He's the Renfield-esque character, the dude who's like a ghoul who they send ahead of time to destroy the helicopters and kill all the dogs, and he was very good in that. He was extremely creepy.
Yo,
What?
Chandra West is fucking Val Kilmer's wife in Salton Sea.
No, she's not, dude.
I'm looking at her picture right now.
She's not. How long's it been since you've seen the Salton Sea?
It's been a while, but that's
It's been
her,
a while.
man.
It's not her, dude.
It's her.
Bro.
We got it.
Bro.
Listen, man. I will fight you.
It can't be.
I will fight you.
It can't be.
What do you mean it can't be?
I don't know. We'll have to dig into
We're
this.
gonna have to edit all this out.
I'm going to edit you. What the fuck? There was another movie called The Salton Sea in 2016.
No, it couldn't have been.
Bullshit. Bullshit, sir. Who the hell's Chandra West?
All right, so Deborah Kara Unger played the blonde girl he befriends, and Chandra West plays his wife, whose name is Liz.
Can't be.
Melissa George ain't in The Salton Sea, my friend.
This is fucking bullshit.
I mean, like, what do you want me to say?
I'm saying that someone lied to me at some point. God damn it.
Listen, man, if there's one thing we've learned, it's that, like, I'm good at this game.
You know names.
I'm good at this game. I got a thing with names.
You're a name doctor.
I got a thing with names.
Yeah. All right. I now pronounce you Chuck and Larry.
Is that what you were thinking of? Now, Melissa George is, in fact, in 30 Days of Night. All I'm saying is, she ain't in the Salton Sea.
Fine. Fine.
Thank you.
Unger. You mad dogging me, bitch? No.
No, I'm just admiring your boots.
It's so veiny.
Did you purchase them locally?
That movie deserves a rewatch. I actually haven't seen that in a long time.
Me neither. Like we talked about this movie because like I'm convinced that it doesn't hold up.
It's very hard to find.
Yeah.
It's not on any streaming services, and I couldn't find it like other than $50 on Amazon for a disc.
$50.
It's out of print, and
Fuck,
I
man.
don't think they ever put it on Blu-ray.
Dude, I had that movie on DVD, and like I think I may have gotten rid of it.
Really?
Yeah.
I still have it.
You still? Oh, you still?
Oh
got
yeah,
it?
I still have it. Absolutely, absolutely.
Shit, we gotta watch that.
For anyone who doesn't know, this was a. I don't even know if it was in theaters. It was a flick Val Kilmer made in the early aughts, where he plays a kind of a meth head in L.A. It's a wild story, but it has a great, great cast. Amazing.
It really
cast.
does. Well, let's run it down. It's got Val Kilmer as our titular hero. Well, not titular, but he plays Danny Parker. He's a trumpet player who used to be married and then she got killed by a bunch of meth heads. Vince D'Onofrio plays a meth dealer named Pooh Bear.
With no nose.
He had no nose. He
Fake
did so
nose.
much gack he had to cut it off.
So much gack.
Adam Goldberg's in it. He plays a good role.
Yep.
It's just like a meth head.
Yep.
Luis Guzman is in it.
Classic.
Anthony LaPaglia.
Paglia. Yeah.
He plays a cop.
He's been in a million things.
Peter Sarsgaard.
That was one of the first things he ever did.
Yeah, it's got B.D. Wong.
B. Wong, yeah.
Remember B.D. Wong?
Sure.
Arlie Ermey plays Danny Parker's dad.
Father-in-law, I think.
Oh, father-in-law.
Yeah, he's only in one scene. It's a shame, but yeah.
Meatloaf is in it?
Yeah, that's right.
Who the hell does Meatloaf play?
The flashback when the wife is killed, he's one of the dudes in the house. Yeah.
Danny Trejo. So, like, that's worth
Gets his
mentioning.
dick fed to a badger.
Plus, what's the badger's name?
He had a name?
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Captain Steuben.
Captain Steuben. Yeah, Captain Steuben.
And then it's got a guy named Josh Todd. You know who Josh Todd is?
No.
He's the lead singer for fucking Buck Cherry.
Oh, Buck Cherry. Right.
He's in that. He plays one of the meth dealers.
Take your pants down. Yeah, that's
Take
right.
your fucking pants down.
Not a good actor, but he was fine for that. He was fine. They just needed a tatted up freak. That's what they needed.
And yeah, he fit that bill.
The drug scenes in that are fantastic. When they're actually like locked in that room, just doing fucking rails and shit.
Yeah, they're out there.
And the come down.
They're like taking apart a typewriter for no reason.
And I Am the Ocean. Remember I Am the Ocean?
Oh, Bobby.
Bobby.
Bobby, that rhymes with
Lobby.
hobby.
Hobby.
Bobby, hobby, lobby. Couple 8 balls, huh?
Yeah. 6. 6 8 balls, man. Holy shit. The spear gun. Remember? That's the scene with the spear gun.
Yeah, he's got a spear gun.
And the chick under the mattress just yelling and her feet are...
What does
You
he
got to
say
see
to her?
this movie.
What the fuck do you want from me?
I got no vocational
I got
skills.
no vocational skills.
What?
It was bizarre. Well, the story's insane. It's about a guy whose wife gets killed, and he goes on a personal vendetta to try to find the people responsible because he realizes that they might be cops.
Right.
And so he creates this alter ego and becomes a meth head to penetrate that underground scene in the hopes of becoming an informant to said cops to get close to them, to discover the truth.
Yeah.
Crazy. That's an insane story.
Yeah, and it's told not exactly in a linear fashion.
There's a twist.
The movie kind of begins in media res, and things are revealed about what the protagonist has been doing, and he's a trumpet player before the undercover business.
My name's Danny Parker. I play the trumpet.
Danny, I'm a trumpet player.
Trumpet player.
I think Danny Parker was his fake name, wasn't it?
Danny Parker was his real name.
Was his real name? The fake name was Tom something?
No, wait. What was his?
No, Danny was his fake name. Danny was the fake name because I remember Skarsgård calling him that. As I can't remember.
What was his real name?
I can't remember.
God, this is gonna drive me nuts.
Tom Van Allen.
Tom Van Allen.
Yeah. It says it in the cast list.
Tom Van Allen.
My name's Tom Van
Play
Allen.
the trumpet.
I play the trumpet. The way he says the last trumpet's weird.
Play the trumpet.
Trumpet. That was a Val thing. That was very much a Val inflection. I miss Val Kilmer so much as an actor. It's such a shame. I'm so glad he seems to have found peace, and I don't know. He seems to be not unhappy. So good for him, man. Good for him. It's rough seeing him in Top Gun 2.
Yeah, he's roughed up.
It's rough seeing him in that. But hey, man, he's still kicking. He's still kicking. And it just shows you how lucky you are. He was...
That would be a hell of a filmography to run down one
Val?
day. Yeah.
You know, and it's not as long as you would think. He is one of those actors who, until he got a little older, he was very careful about what he was in. He wasn't in a lot of movies. He could have been a gigantic star. He really could have been a much bigger... He could have been Tom Cruise level. And I mean, hell, he was Batman. I mean, he got pretty close, but...
He was Batman.
I think he purposely avoided doing shit like that. He didn't take a lot of action roles, that could have really propelled him into that level of summer tentpole superstardom. Everything he took had a kind of a weird twist to it. And there's a lot of Val Kilmer movies I fucking love. I'm a huge Doors fan, so I loved him from that. He was an incredible Jim Morrison. I don't know if anyone could do better. He was real good. Ghost in the Darkness is one of my favorites.
Oh, that movie's great.
Love that movie. I do not like the version of Dr. Moreau that he was in.
Oh, yeah, that movie's bad.
That movie's got a wild story to it too. You ever hear the story with that movie?
Well, a bit. I heard that everyone hated working with Val Kilmer.
Yeah, he was going through a divorce at the time, and I don't think he wanted to be acting in a movie at the time.
No. But
he had to. He tried to get out of it, and they wouldn't let him. And that was kind of his revenge. He was just going to be a cunt through the whole movie. And the deeper thing about it was the original director got fired, but he never left the island where they were filming it. He dressed himself as an extra and basically just haunted the set for the rest of the filming.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
As one does.
Yeah, as one does. He's a fucking weirdo, man. Every other movie he's made has been absolutely deranged and bizarre. So check them out. They're pretty cool.
Oh, yeah. You gotta.
But yeah, that's a wild story. There's a documentary about it. If you ever come across it, watch it. It's a trip, man. It's a trip. Fairuza Balk was in that. My girl.
Fairuza Balk.
Fairuza. All right, so The Crow. Final thoughts here.
Final thoughts.
Final thoughts. Final thoughts on the original and seeing it in the theater. I think there's a lot still to be said about the experience of seeing a film in the theater. There's nothing quite like it. And I really hope it doesn't go away, and I really wish that there was a way to... I see a lot of Reddit posts about going to see movies and how people behave in theaters now. And it's becoming one of the biggest gripes from adults saying they don't want to go to the theater because of the way people act when they go to the theater. People are always on their phones. People don't understand how to shut the fuck up through a movie.
They can't be quiet.
And it's just a symptom of the times we live in, and I don't know if that can ever... I don't know what can be done about that, if anything. I really don't. And like, I saw a post the other day. It was just like, we need to bring back ushers. They need to hire ushers again. And there was a time when people would get kicked out of a movie for making too much noise.
Yeah.
I hate to tell y'all motherfuckers, but it has been decades since theaters could afford ushers. We're not talking about the poor motherfuckers who had to come in and sweep up all the shit you leave on the floor after the movie's
they'd
over.
show you to your seat and stuff.
Yeah, they had flashlights and shit. Like, at a theater, like a theater, they still have people who do this. They had that for movies. Every movie, except the smallest, shittiest little rink-a-dink theaters. But they haven't had that. I never went to a movie with an usher. Have you ever been to a movie with an usher?
No. I've been to a movie with someone who's complained about people making noise, and they managed to find someone with a flashlight to kick them out.
Yeah.
But so I guess that probably was an usher.
I guess. But there also used to be someone who would take your ticket.
Yeah.
And there also used to be someone who would then later scan your phone. We went to the theater tonight, and there was neither.
We could have just walked in if we wanted to.
No idea why I paid money for this.
Well, because here, and I was going to say this.
Conceit.
Yeah, like you said, you don't know what the solution is to people acting like shitbags in a movie theater. The answer is go see a movie that came out 30 years ago.
On a Wednesday night.
And on Wednesday night. Because the only people, and you'll agree with this, I think, were the only people there tonight were the faithful that came out to see the 30th anniversary of The Crow. And they didn't make a peep. You and I were the loudest motherfuckers in that theater. And what I mean when I say that is like a couple times I elbowed you and whispered something like,
Yeah.
that was it.
We said fire it up a little loud a couple times. But that's okay. We were saying it in line with the movie. So
Yeah.
Well, it struck me that the song started to play at the end and the credits started to roll, and that theater was pin drop silent.
Yeah.
No one was making a word. No one was clapping. No one was cheering. I went to see First Blood at the Ritz Theater. You remember the Ritz?
Yeah, I remember the Ritz.
It's an AMC now. I went to see it when it was still the Ritz, when they showed it for, I guess it was that movie's 25th, probably. Yeah, that sounds right. And it was, people clapped at the end. There was cheering. This movie was weird. It was almost reverent.
Well, I think maybe considering what
Brandon.
happened. Yeah. What happened to poor Brandon.
Yeah.
Maybe,
and that is the first thing you see.
Be why it was respectful.
When the screen goes to black, you see this movie's dedicated to Brandon and Eliza. So, yeah. Either way, it was a really pleasant and rewarding
I loved
experience. It was great. I'm so glad we got to do it. And I swear, if this was more accessible and a more frequent thing, just them showing movies from the 80s and 90s in theaters, more than just like the occasional for the anniversary, or there was a schedule out in the lobby, there's like one classic movie a month that they screen. If this was a more regular thing, I might go every week.
Oh, yeah,
I love going to the movies. I miss it. And even going to the Regal that time forgot.
It really is. Dude, the owners forgot it.
Man, dude, it smells old. Like you said, the carpet, it's the same fucking carpet from the 90s when that place opened. It's sad to walk into it. Like, you walk in, and of course, as with most theaters, the first thing you see is the bank of what are they called? Ticket booths.
Yeah,
right?
the box office.
Yeah, the box office where people used to be standing and selling you tickets. And above them would be screens saying what time everything was playing.
There'd be so many damn movies up there. You had to stand there for 5 minutes and find your showtime.
There's 24 screens in this place. Yeah. And it's all gone. They're empty. They're silent. They don't use them anymore. And there's signs that say you can buy tickets at the concession stand.
Yeah.
And nobody does. Nobody does.
They walk in.
They walk in. They walk in. No one looked at their ticket. There's one there. That theater had 2 concession stands at one time. There's only one functioning. The other one doesn't even have registers. They don't. The soda machines are gone. They don't use it. And it's just a shadow of what it was.
Yeah.
An absolute shadow. I remember. Do you remember this? This is going to date us. There was a brief period where, before smartphones, when you could buy tickets online. But what you did was you bought them online. You printed it. You had to print out
like a paper copy
with a barcode on it.
Yeah.
This is before QR codes. This is a barcode. And then you would go scan it at this machine that they would have in the lobby, and then it would supposedly spit out your tickets. And it worked like 70% of the time. And the other 30% you would go scan it, and it wouldn't find it. It wouldn't be able to register it. So then you had to go wait in fucking line at the manager's desk.
like a schmuck.
And then they would just give you the tickets. Man, we came far.
Yeah, man. Now they don't even care.
Now they don't even care. They just let you walk in and hope you bought a soda and a popcorn on the way.
Well, you know what, though? Like, I'm glad that they did it, because we got to see it.
Yep.
And that was cool. And you made this point at the beginning. I don't know that I've ever sat and just watched The Crow start to finish without looking away from the screen or getting up to do something else, and I noticed so much stuff that, like, I just didn't notice before, just little details, like, thinking like, wow, what a great shot. Oh, wow, that was great, like, camera work, I just remember, like, there was one shot in particular when she's, like, walking through the graveyard picking up the flowers, and she's walking, picking stuff
Sarah,
up.
you mean?
Yeah, and as she's walking, it's a tracking shot, and you can see tombstones in the foreground, like, passing through the shot out of focus, and it almost, and I remember sitting there thinking, like, that's a really good shot, and I'm thinking, like, it makes you feel like you're in the graveyard with her, and you're just kind of like watching, it makes it kind of put you in the scene more, and I was like, I never would have noticed that little detail of direction if I'd been watching it at home.
Sure.
With, like, whatever else is going on in my house.
At the very least, you haven't watched it that intently since you were a teenager. And maybe the first couple times you saw it. And seeing it on a big screen really does allow you to appreciate the cinematography of it. And as a lower budget movie, they had to lean on good cinematography. They had to lean on good shots and creative things that aren't world-changing, but solid work. Like when the cop, Ernie Hudson, Albrecht, has him sitting on the curb, and then he does his Batman thing and vanishes. The fact that the camera is circling him the whole time as he's looking around and looking for where he went, it gives you this sense.
It's disorienting.
Yeah, it's the same way he is spinning around looking for where the fuck he went, but it's not following the way he spins. So it's not
He spins one way, the camera goes the other.
It feels natural somehow. And it's not too much. Like, they spun it just fast enough, not enough to blur the background. It's just subtle things like, and like you said, just the way they contrasted the white and black with fire. Like I said in the theater, one of my favorite shots is him showing up out of focus in the background behind the burning barrel and then walking toward it when he's going to kill Tintin.
Oh, yeah, he looks terrifying.
When he opens the doors to the church at the end, just the lighting and the blowing of the wind through the church and the hair, and it was just perfect, fucking perfect. And all it is lighting and camera work.
Yeah, what was that? Alex Proyas directed that.
Yeah,
and he's a very capable director. The guy knows what he's doing.
Very. There was a lot of talent in that film. Even if there wasn't a lot of money, there was a lot of talent in that film. And there have been movies made for hundreds of millions of dollars more that have looked worse. And yeah, I'm just really happy we got to see it. Not only that, but in our old theater that was our go-to.
Our old stomping grounds.
Saw so many movies in that place, man. So many movies. That we talk about when we passed each other going in and out of seeing the Blair Witch. I remember which theater it was. It was the one like right to the left of where the ticket taker was.
Yeah.
When you first walk in.
That theater was packed to the gills that day.
You remember when they built the addition onto it?
Yeah.
It used to be just like a 12 theater, and then they built this addition with bigger theaters with stadium seating and all kinds of new shit, the new sound systems and all that stuff.
Yeah, because the place blew up when they opened it. It was the only movie theater around for 10 miles.
We were there all the time, and it was one of those things your parents felt fine about letting you do at a pretty early age on your own. It's one of the first things you got dropped off and were allowed to go do.
It would give you a bit of like autonomy.
Yeah, because we were just talking about how we wait outside for our folks to come pick us up.
Yeah, and then we'd run across the street and go to the mall.
Yeah, or walk to the mall and they'd pick us up from there. Because it meant a lot. It meant a lot, and it's both sad to see it the way it is now, and also kind of cool that you can still go there for now.
Well, yeah, as much as I agree that it was kind of sad walking in there and it's like a shadow of what it used to be, it was also kind of like a really neat little pang of nostalgia when I walked in and realized, oh my god, this place hasn't changed at all. Everything's the same. The only thing they changed were like the light bulbs at some point. Everything's the same.
That fucking carpet, man. Whew, we should have taken a picture of that carpet. That is a Cosby sweater of a carpet. Fuck, man. All right, so this new one is coming out in the summer. Are you going to see it?
In the theater? No.
No, I'm not.
Absolutely not.
I'm not going to see it in the theater either.
Listen, I mean, I think with how much we like the original, the fact that we went to go see it, and how much we're like just anticipating that this is going to be bad, I feel like I have to watch it. Like I wouldn't go this route, but like there's a piece of me that just has to know how bad it's going to be. So yeah, eventually I'm going to watch it. Will you?
Yeah, I have to watch it just so I can shit on it. I have a pretty strict policy about not shitting on movies too hard that I haven't seen, and I know I've already shit on this one pretty hard. But I've seen the trailer, and I'm shitting on the trailer.
Yeah, it's bad. It doesn't look good.
And yeah, I mean, I'll sit through it. I fucking sat through Wicked Prayer, so I can sit through this. That's the Edward Furlong Crow sequel. It was made for about $12 with the incomparable Tara Reid. And
her and her whiskey voice.
Yeah, well, that's one way to put it. That movie is so bad, it's basically unwatchable.
What do you think is going to be worse?
The remake has the potential to be more offensive.
Yeah, it'll be technically a better movie, but it's almost like a bigger sin if it's bad because of all. It's a big budget.
Yeah, because they had the tools and they had the capability to make something good, whereas Wicked Prayer was destined to be home video from the very beginning, and I don't think anybody was trying.
Did you hear who they originally cast as the Crow?
Jason Momoa?
Yeah.
I saw the photos of the makeup test. They got that far. They actually did the makeup test. Yeah. Not as bad as I would have expected.
Yo, I don't know about you. I am a big fan of Jason Momoa. And
I don't like Aquaman, but I liked him in pretty much everything else I've seen him in.
Yeah, I don't know if he's not the best actor, But the guy's impressive, and
he fills the screen. He has a presence, that's for sure.
he does fill the screen. But like, man, he's got a niche, right? When he was Khal Drogo in Game of Thrones, fucking terrifying.
Yeah.
My God, he was.
He's got an
terrifying.
intensity. Yeah, the eyes help.
He was in the reboot of Conan the Barbarian.
I saw that.
He was good in that.
That was good.
I liked him. But like he's got a lane that if he stays in, he can be really, really good. He's fucking Duncan, Idaho, you know.
He's stuck in Idaho. I would have seen that crow more willingly, especially after the makeup test. At least he had long hair.
He did have long hair.
At least he didn't look like a fucking SoundCloud rapper. You know, and I don't know why, but that whole production fell apart. And I was like, all right, probably for the best. And
Well, they
now
lost
look.
the director,
Is that what happened?
and then like he was still attached, and so they still had Jason. And then enough time went by that like he's like, I can't just wait around for this movie. He had other stuff he wanted to make, so yeah, it just that's what fell apart. But he was into it because he was a big fan of the source material. And you know what else he does? The guy's like a rock climber and a bass player. He
I was gonna say I knew he was in a band.
plays bass and guitar.
Didn't some video go around where Jack Black was singing with his band or some shit?
Maybe.
Yeah, I know. I saw Jack Black and him on stage. It was weird.
But yeah, like he fits that mold, you know, of the type of world that we said the original came out of. That's
I
his
think
scene.
his physique and his gravity with the makeup would have been pretty fucking cool.
I think it could have been like downright scary.
He could have been actually, and that's the thing about the Crow. You've got to make him. He's got to be a little nuts. He's got to be a little scary. And the way Brandon Lee played Eric Draven, he wasn't all there. Like, he's a little nuts. Like, I always imagined that, you know, dying and coming back to life. I always kind of imagined he was like half tripping through the whole movie, being back in the real world, you know? And you see it. He laughs. He's
like
swings from emotion to emotion.
He's like unhinged.
Yeah, yeah, but not in a comically over the top way. Just in a, man, this guy's not a person anymore, you know? And I can't imagine how this fucking dopey Skarsgård Pennywise version is going to be anything like that.
You know what sucks too? Bill Skarsgård's a good actor.
He is. I like him in all kinds of stuff. I have nothing against the man.
He's been in some really cool roles, and like this one just looks just wrong,
You know,
all the way wrong.
I liked him since Hemlock Grove. I know.
I never saw that. That was a show, right?
Yeah. It was one of Netflix's earliest shows, original shows. And so much so that they don't even have the rights for it anymore. It's not even on Netflix anymore. Everyone, I didn't realize this, but the entire internet hates that show. I had no idea. I looked something up about it, and then all I saw were threads about how fucking awful the show is. And I mean, I understand the last season was dog shit, but I always liked the first season, but I guess I was the only one. But whatever, he was great in that, and he was very young. He was like a teenager still. I have nothing against him, but he's another one of those actors who he's tried a lot of different things in his still short career. And I think some things have been really cool, and then other things have been just wild misses. And he was really good in John Wick 4.
I liked him, and he was what the
French guy, the
he
bad
had like
dude.
a title.
The big bad, yeah.
The Count or something, or I forget.
Whatever all these weird high table titles are, the adjudicators.
The Viscount or something.
Something like that. But yeah, I mean, like I said, if the reviews first come out and everyone's like, I can't believe it's this fucking good. All right, maybe I'll go see it in the theater and admit that was just a really bad trailer. But the chances of that, pretty fucking slim. So I guess it's going to be you and me, maybe in this living room, watching it and screaming and yelling a lot.
Yeah. throwing things.
It's gonna be like watching the Predator.
I can't wait for that. Cannot wait to do that.
We're gonna do it.
I'm gonna sit next to the TV and just watch you boil.
We should film that. We should film that one. You just laughing at me, getting upset. It'd be fantastic.
Oh man, that could be pretty good.
And I do want to mention everyone in the theater just booed really, really loud at the end of the trailer.
Yeah, I think I started that.
I'm proud of you because everyone followed. Everyone followed.
They all kicked in. Boo!